Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're going over one of my recommended openings against whenever they play the Queen's Gambit or whenever they play d4, c4, knight c3, the Nimzo-Indian. That's right. This is such a good opening that most people these days are not even playing this opening anymore as white because they're not getting enough wins, and black's almost pretty much at equal here. A good opening for white should probably be around the 35, I'd say about the 40% win rate. The Nimzo-Indian from the white perspective is not doing that. In fact, like I said, black is just doing so great. So let's take a look at a fun game I got to play today, and this was against a very strong FIDE master. I'm pretty sure we'll be hitting International Master someday, at least if he wants to. And, well, as you can see here, he's rated around 2,600 here. And, well, let's get to it. Let's start this game off. My opponent started off with d4, of course, and I played knight to f6, the master move. Why do I call it the master move? Because with knight f6, I can still transpose or turn into other openings quite easily. I can play g6, go king's Indian defense, d5, and go back to queen's gambit ideas, e6, you don't know what I'm up to yet. I mean, like I said, there's so many different ways that you can transfer to different openings that this is why it's called the master move. Black played pawn to c4, and here I went ahead and played it pawn to e6. Again, this is one of the main moves, and already we're fighting over a very critical square. What square is that? It's the e4 square. If white can get control over this e4 square, well then white's just going to have a great game. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it. They're just go ahead and be winning here because they have the whole center to themselves, and if they get pawn e5 in, black is going to have a very difficult time for themselves. So, white goes ahead and plays it, knight to c3, preparing to play pawn to e4, and what do we play? For those Nimzo-Indian players, you guys already know, we're going to play bishop to b4. Again, we're fighting over this square. And I'll go ahead and give you guys the rough strategies for black and white. White's going to go ahead and try to get e4, e5 in. They're going to delay development, as you can see, because they're going queenside first. And they're going to try to delay development just to try and get as much center as possible and get a good strategic game. A lot of times what happens is black is going to give up this dark square bishop, meaning white will get the bishop pair. Well, what's wrong with that? Why does white not do too well? Because if black knows how to play this opening correctly, they can create very fast counterplay. Meaning, black is going to castle, and he's going to hit the center with either d5, c5, e5. I mean, there's so many good ways for black to attack using hypermonerism, meaning using the wing pawns to attack the center, that black gets a very good game. And, well, that's exactly what happened in my game here. I played very actively. If you don't, and again, white just grabs that center and is able to hold on to it, and, well, white just owns the center and is able to do everything they want. So bishop to b4 got played. As you can see here, fighting over e4 because the knight is being pinned. And here white played bishop d2. I won't say this is one of the best ways to play against it. I definitely think e3, the Rubinstein variation is good. Queen c2 is very good. I mean, there's a lot of good ways to play here. I don't think bishop d2 is one of the best ways as it leaves the e4 square very weak. And as I said, e4 is one of the main squares we're fighting over. Well, what do you do next? Let's castle. Remember, I want to create as much counterplay as possible, which means I need to finish my opening, meaning I need to castle. But now my king is safe, my rook's in the game. Now I'm going to try to hit the center as soon as possible. Here, my opponent now played pawn e3. This is a good move. Again, I just don't like the move order they played here. And, well, let's go for it. Pawn to c5, hitting the center. I played d5, I played c5. I like both of them pretty much almost the same. But in this instance, c5 threatens to take on d4 to try and open up the game. And as I said, white's king is going to be in the center for a while, so the faster we do this, the faster I can start to have some fun here. All right, bishop to d3 got played. Definitely an inaccuracy here. You know, knight to e2 is pretty interesting. Knight f3 is okay. Maybe even queen c2. Bishop d3, I won't say it's too bad, but the computer does not like it as much. Here I went ahead and took on d4. They took back. And now, knight to c6. Here I could have played d5 right away, but I want to try to get a free tempo by attacking the pawn on d4. It's unprotected, and so I got a free tempo or free move by doing this. I already have 3 pieces out. They have 3. Of course, they're going to play the easy move here, knight to e2, which definitely looks like a good idea because the knight is able to recapture on c3 here and also blocks in case, you know, the center gets opened up. With that being said, what do? Here we go. Strike the center yet again. Pawn to d5. Now the new threat is maybe to play take on c4. And here my opponent made an interesting move that is known to not to be the best. He went ahead and played pawn to c5. And here I'll ask you the question, why is c5 not the best? As you can see here, the computer just recommends, hey, just take the pawn on d5 here, and you get a relatively equal game. I mean, you don't want to lose any tempos here because, well, if you lose any tempos, well, then they will lose the right to castle. And this is exactly what happens in the game. Believe it or not, white does not get to castle this game because I kept making threats persistently here. So hopefully you were able to answer the question, what was wrong with c5? Well, c5 has a great idea about trying to, create a very nice blockade, control the center. But here we can strike at it with b6 and open up the queen side here. And again, since the king is uncastled, we need to open up files and diagonals to attack it. What do we play now as black? Here, b6 is a good move. When you see a good move, look for a better one. I mean, at least I like this move better. I went ahead and played pawn to e5. Now, this move comes with definitely some play behind it. I can play pawn e4, which will give me a very nice pawn structure pointing toward the king side, which means I want to attack that king. Or, well, I can go ahead and take on d4 over here too. And if he goes ahead and takes, which he did in the game, well, now the pawn on c5 is left unprotected. Well, pawn takes definitely was a bad move here. Let's go ahead and punish him. Knight takes on e5 here, and we're attacking the bishop on d3. Of course, you see the computer always has a good suggestion here. Knight f to g4 is the best move here. As you can see here, not only does it attack on e5, but it allows the queen to open up, to run over to the king side. Bishop takes on c5. Black has a very active game here. Yeah, my move's okay. Knight takes on e5 got played. Bishop back to d3, definitely mistake here, and now I saw a very nice way to start the attack yet again. What do I play? Let's hit that center. Pawn to d4. Of course, I can go and grab my pawn right away, but here I saw d4 threatening pawn to d3. And again, with that king in the center, I'm very excited about my prospects right now. Knight e4 got played. Simple chess. Pawn to d3 here, forking the bishop and the knight. Dear Lord. White must have been very, very uncomfortable at this point. And, well, I got, taken on c2 here. My bishop is hanging. The knight's hanging. Dear Lord, what's going to happen next? And here he went ahead and played. Bishop takes on b4. It makes sense. I mean, here the bishop is hanging. I mean, any other take here, I guess we'll just lose a piece. So taking on b4 got played. And here, what do you guys think? Should I take the knight on e2? Should I take the bishop on c2 or take on e4? Remember, I don't want to make any trades here, so of course I'm going to take on e4. I definitely don't want to trade off my queen, as again, the queen is one of the best attacking pieces. Here, he went ahead and played pawn c6, a tricky move here. Hopefully you guys see the discovery attack that was played. It's not about attacking the pawn. The bishop opened up to attack my rook. How did you know I wanted to develop my rook? I went ahead and played rook to e8. Simple chess. Rook goes opposite the king. I still have all these threats around here. I'm very happy in this position. And here, again, he tries it, pawn to c7. And, well, you're more than welcome to take on c7 here. Just note, by taking, you allow the bishop to take back. Although I think this is still winning for black. Here I found another way to continue the attack. Here, I saw the weakness of f2. I saw the bishop unprotected. These guys over here, let's make some threats. Queen to h4. Here I threatened checkmate, but also a little something extra. Here my opponent actually made a huge blunder, which I missed, and played g3. It is now black to move. I challenge you, find the best move here for black. Please push pause and try to find the best move here. All right, hopefully you push pause and try to figure this out. What do you play in this position? I missed the best move. I saw the tactic and I played it right away. I went ahead and played knight takes on g3 because, well, I saw that I'm threatening the knight over here. I'm forking the rook and also opened up my queen to attack on b4. Why is this bad? Why is it not the best? I just missed checkmate in 2. Did you find it? Here you get to play the very nice knight to f3 check. King is forced over to f1. And here it's up to you. Do you want to play queen h3 or bishop h3? I hope you said bishop h3. It's always nice to give a checkmate with a bishop, right? So I missed a checkmate in 2 and definitely feel very foolish about that. That being said, I'm still pretty happy about this game. I got a very nice attack. As I said, I played knight takes on g3. Pawn took back. Queen takes on b4 check. And here, king f2. At this point, the game is pretty much over. You just got to play the right moves, which is easier said than done here. Again, there's lots of ways to win here. Feel free to push pause and look around at all the different ways if you can find a forced win here. But here I finished off the game with knight to g4 check, king to g2. And here, like I said, many different ways to play. Here, there was a very nice forced checkmate. I mean, I was able to find checkmate too. But here, the best move was actually to play queen to e4 check, which leads to a checkmate in 5 moves. And, well, after the king goes to g1, queen e3 check, king to g2, queen f2 check, king to h3, knight to e3 check, king to h4, and queen f6 is check and mate. Oh no, I'm sorry. King h5, bishop to g4 is check and mate. Again, I missed this very nice checkmate. Like I said, I found one here too. I mean, I hear someone already saying, hey, what about knight e3 check? You're more than welcome to go for the queen. There's nothing wrong with that. Just remember, when you see a good move, look for a better one. Here, I was looking for the checkmate, so I played. Rook takes on e2 check, and the reason why this is not the best is because the queen can sacrifice herself for the rook. Okay, I would have lived with that if that would have happened, but I was assuming they were going to do this, and they didn't. They went ahead and played king to f1, and now we get a nice idea here. Knight to e3 check, king over to g1, knight takes on c2, and here again they went rook check and knight e3. Again, I was calculating all these moves. Here I saw that they would most likely play queen takes on d3, which would fall for a quick mate. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, at this point, you could pretty much just resign the game anyways. But here, queen takes on d3 was played, and hopefully you see the checkmate in 2 here. Do you see it? Here we get to go ahead and play, or checkmate in 3, depending on what they play. Queen c5 check, king to f1. They could have blocked with the queen. Obviously, I would have just taken. And then I finished the game with queen to f2 for check and mate. Remember, guys, when reviewing this game, for playing the Nimzo-Indian, remember the master plays knight f6 because he's trying to not give you his opening at least right away. We pin the bishop, we pin the knight so we can get control over e4, and it's very typical to lose your bishop pair to do this. Remember, this is going to be being that Queen's Gambit setup with d4, c4, knight c3. Remember, hit the center as soon as possible with c5 or d5. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next game.